Tonight, we are still drinking on Nevada Sierra's Wonderland 7.5. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? It's getting close. It's getting close. Well, welcome. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. 8 Wind is Timeless. It all started with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. I am the Galactic Daddy-O sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. Dread, thank you for joining me. Thank you very much for joining me. So this was getting off the Lost of Texas, which was so like I could see in the first half. Like one thing you can always look at, if you see, like last night there was a play with one team where the player actually pulled the other players down and the ref still called an offensive foul. When you see those kind of plays, it makes you understand that there is something that's not normal going on. And that's what we saw. We saw a lot of unnatural calls. Oh, okay, I see where I messed up. Zag. We saw a lot of bad calls in the first half that kept Abilene Christian in the game. A lot of bad calls in the first half that kept them in the game. And that's generally what you see. I'm looking for where I put Texas at. Texas, what is it, 2-3 seed? Oh, right here. And so, Abilene Christian. I think I went similar today as I did yesterday. I think let me count it up. So this would be an X here. So let me see. I lost more today. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I lost more games today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 and 6, right? 15 games. Somewhere that's off. So maybe I went 10 and 6 today. So not too bad. Hey, James, thank you for joining. What file if you up by one? Why file if you up by one? The thing is in the first half, though. In the first half, there were 3 or 4 offensive fouls. Wow. In the first half, there was 3 or 4 offensive fouls called against Texas that was very shaky. Told you that LSU would win. Yes, you did, James. Did Oregon? Let me see. Oregon. Who did Oregon play? I think that's the one game. Yeah, LSU did win. LSU beat Texas Southern. Yeah, LSU beat Texas Southern. No, St. Mary's. LSU beat St. Mary's. Or St. Bonneville. No, my dyslexia to seeing these squares. Okay. LSU beat St. Bonaventure. Yes. LSU went on. Yeah, I counted that as a loss. That was a loss. But there's one game I did miss. The Oregon game. It seems like Oregon played VCU. Did Oregon beat VCU? Oregon won. That's right. I saw that. I did see that. Oregon won because of COVID. That's right. I did see that. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I went 10 and 6 today. So, I think I went 11 and 5 yesterday. 11 and 5 yesterday. So, not too bad. So, that would put me at 11 and so if I went 10-6 today, 11-5. That would put me 23 out of 17, 18, something like that overall. But I came out winning money, so I'm still kind of ahead. Still won some money, so a little bit ahead. But that Texas game was like kind of predictable. Again, when you see all the offensive fouls, and that's what I went by, is I was looking at all the offensive fouls in the first half. Hey, PJ, thank you for joining. Hey, Tiger Strong. NBA darling went down again. Didn't James, you talking about LeBron James, didn't he get hurt again? I think I saw something about that this morning where James had got hurt again. Sprained his ankle or something against I think I saw that. LeBron James injury. Yep, I saw that. And I wonder if just to really give him a real rest. What was I looking at? Out indefinitely with an ankle injury. Yep, out indefinitely with an ankle injury. Oh, somebody rolled up on him from behind, it looks like. Somebody hit him from behind. Yep. I saw this earlier. Ankle injury early in the second half against the Hawks out of all teams. Yeah, they lost 2. Didn't they win 5 in a row? Something like that. Hadn't they won like 5 in a row? So, not surprised. Hey, Read My Soul. Thank you for joining me. Oh, yeah. Hey, PJ. Tiger Strong. Solomon Hill ran up on him. Yeah. I was looking at the picture now. He ran up on him. So I didn't see the game. I didn't see. I don't have the NBA package. Ain't really worth it to me. I guess next year if my betting habits pick up, perhaps I'll get it so I can watch all the games. But yeah, so far, not really worth it. I like the Timberwolves when I get to watch all the Timberwolves game. But it was like kind of nice here today. Windy, really windy, but nice. They have to make a good case as why he's not MVP. That's a good point. Because that's what they started using against Embiid. When Embiid got hurt, they put him out of the conversation all of a sudden. So I noticed that the same thing. But if you look at like the NCAA and the way the NCAA became popular, I wonder why the NBA never did this format, the one and done format. Like if Silver really wanted to make it interesting, he would do the one and done format. And I say you only got 32 teams. You see the college do it every year. And so and again, it's all scripted. But I think if they're looking for a way to make the game more interesting, if they put a big tournament where the top seeds have the buys and stuff, and you let everybody else play it out, I think people would like it. I really do. I think the majority of people would like it. But I agree, it's going to knock him out. It's going to definitely knock him out of the MVP race. So we'll see. So not a lot going on up here all day other than got out walking. And I don't know if you can hear the wind is howling. It's interesting. The wind is howling. Remind me back in 2015, we had what they called side winds. Y'all ever heard of that? Side winds? We had side winds. and it's like, I remember they showed a chart of it or showed animation of what side winds was. And it's like something that in my close to 60 years of living had never heard before. Never heard of anything called side winds. Like when from this storm, this is what they were saying. It was like winds that stay closer to the ground. Winds that come from one direction, but closer to the ground. they were calling them side winds. That's how they were showing the animation, where pockets of wind just stay closer to the ground and blow through. But it's like they just come up with all kind of stuff, like thunder snow, snow, thundering while it's snowing. Now, until I was in my 50s, I had never heard of such a thing as thunder snow. But this is apparently was a thing. Thunder snow was apparently a thing. So they come up with all kind of stuff. And so today was just, easy day, watching games off and on. Talked to one of my friends, and me and this cat, we was friends when we was like 18, well, probably 19. We've been friends since we was 19. I think he's a year in school younger than me. So when I was a sophomore, he was probably a freshman. And the way me and this cat met is I came in the gym, and, I just talk shit because, that's just kind of how I was. And I'm telling them all of them, I'm about to serve them all. So I go in the gym and I'm serving them. I'm putting it on. My friend is like 6'4". Again, maybe at that time I was still about 6'1" before I started shrinking, or 6'1.5", or what did the Jets say? 6 foot and 11 twelfths. I think that's what the Jets measured me at, 6 foot and 11 twelfths. And so it's game point. And so I think he scored on me, and he's like talking shit back, like, yeah, we got you guys now. And I remember taking the ball, going up court. I'm like, y'all in trouble. I'm like, ain't none of y'all going to stop me. I'm going to come down and score, and then I'm going to go home. And so I go down, put a move on him, get in the lane. I put it up really high. And what frustrated him, and what still frustrates him, is he nicks the ball. He touches it, but I shot it so high he couldn't block it. And boom. And I was like, young boy, told you couldn't check me. He's like, man, I hated you after that. But he's the person where we did a Mission Impossible. We tried to climb a fence with serpentine razor wire on top and cut our hands up, only to discover that the gate to the stadium where I played football was open. Hands all cut up. We're watching a movie about a rape victim, and it's like the defense attorney is just like racking her over the coals. And I mean, we were on acid that night, so it was funny, but it was like, and the judge was just letting them. It was like nobody was protecting this lady that obviously harm had came to her. And it was Bewitched, Elizabeth Montgomery. She became the queen of TV movies in the early 80s, late 70s. When she went from Bewitched, she became what they call the queen of TV movies. Channels started doing TV movies, and she was always a victim in some kind of a TV movie. And we were just cracking up. All these characters made to distract us, indeed. And so, we were just talking. He told me about Dubai. He was when COVID hit, they was in Dubai and couldn't leave. He said he was a prisoner almost on the ship. Because before then, they was like, he showed me some pictures of Dubai, but he said once the COVID hit, they was stayed there and they had to live on the ship and shit. And he said that Dubai has a damn ski hill inside the mall. There is a hill where he was like, people be wearing parkas and shit, and you can go ski inside. Now, the hill, there's a ski place, and I don't know if all the snow is melted, to be honest, because they can make fake snow. Something I didn't know is they allow them people to see clouds too. I didn't realize that, but I know they can make fake snow. They got fake snow machines, because it's like when you head to that bridge by there, they tell you, they'd be making snow in this area. And so he says Dubai had where you could ski inside this mall. So it was interesting talking to him. His wife had a heart attack, so she's doing better. And so it was just good. We talked for over an hour, but those are the kind of friendships. And that's why I was saying he played baseball at A&T, and he played semi-pro baseball. We was talking about all that. So he had played semi-pro baseball as well. And so but that's what I'm saying. When you talk about fixed sports, people that play sports generally are friends for life. So it's not like you played sports and you just lost contact with people. And these bigger programs, so these are lifetime relationships. And if you like now, the way you can transfer, you make all these different relationships. So that is why when people say that is why the college players don't tell. Like that video I showed. Let me show you. Let me see Picture. I mean, picture, what do they say? A picture says 1,000 words. I don't even know where my pictures are in this book. Let's see. I know where they are on this one. I know exactly where they are on this one. And I just took a picture because it was like, it was too obvious. Well, maybe I didn't. I thought I took a picture. Maybe I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did. Let's find it. Well, oh, I know I took the picture. Okay. But look at this dude's expression. Does that look like a dude that just did a turnover, that lost the game, that knocked you out of the playoffs? Does he look distraught? I did a short video of his expression because I caught this. You see he's laughing? This guy's laughing about dribbling the ball off his ankle. He's laughing. Do you see? So, he got caught. He got caught doing the script. He went baseline and he dribbled the ball off his foot. So you want to know if the players have something to do with it? Now, I kind of looked at his ear to see if he had an earbud. It didn't appear so. So I'm not going to lie and say I think he did. They have to make a good case as to why he's not there. Oh, all these characters. Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. And the tournament is a big distraction as well. It is a big distraction again. So it just shows you that, some of the players are in on it, or all the players. If it's bet on, it is fixed. That's the way you just have to look at it. If there's a betting line on the games are fixed. And so enjoy the games for entertainment purposes, because that's what they are. They're entertainment. Now, yesterday, I finished with an exercise. When Chris Webber told to call timeout on the famous play, I'll tell you what you do, James. Rerun the play and rerun it when he first gets the rebound. When he grabs the rebound, he automatically looks to something out of bounds. He gets the rebound, he turns his head, and he looks to something to his right. Now, remember, his bench was down further, so there's no one there. The second point is Jalen Rose didn't try to go get the ball. I remember this argument years ago. Jalen Rose didn't want the ball because when Chris Webber did travel as well, Chris Webber was trying to pass the ball to Jalen. Jalen turned his head and ran down court. Here's the point guard. He's been wanting the ball all season, but in that instance, he didn't come to meet the ball. He didn't come to meet the ball. He let Chris bring the ball down court. And, of course, Chris did what he was supposed to do, not try to score. You go back into Larry Johnson with Christian Laettner in the semifinal championship the year after they won it. It is Larry Johnson on Christian Laettner. You couldn't have wanted a better matchup than that. And what does Larry Johnson do? Dribble, pass it to Anderson Hunt, who shoots a brick. So they won it the year before, didn't win it the next year. And then I think Arkansas, didn't Arkansas win it? Nah, maybe not. I think Arkansas won it in the 90s. But just shows you, Larry Johnson was in on it as well. And remember, Larry Johnson wore a dress. So yeah, he was in on it. And that's why you remember Chris Webber was put out of college for 10 years. 2 years ago, I think that ran out. So he did a little bit of college commentating. This year he didn't, but a couple years ago he did. He didn't do any college games. They got Jimmy Jackson in those spots, Avery Johnson, who most people with a Southern twang, they don't put them on TV. And here's Avery Johnson, with that bad Southern twang, but yet they put him on TV. That is why, if you look at most newscasters, why they go to Northwestern or they go to Iowa, like no matter where you live, you're not going to hear a person on your local news with a Southern twang. You're just not. I lived in North Carolina for 7 years. Not one broadcaster talked like the people there. They talk like people talk in the Midwest. It seems to be this is the language of America, is how people speak in the Midwest, not how people speak in New York, not how people speak in Boston, not how people speak in the South. America is perceived as the way people speak in the Midwest. And that's why you have Northwestern being the number one broadcasting school. I mean, a lot of broadcasters, the dude, Mike and Mike, the one skinny Mike, he went there. Wilburn, that's on Speak for Yourself. I mean, the list goes on of people. And I think Iowa is the other school, but I know Northwestern is a big broadcasting school. And so people speak. Hey, Lorenzo, thank you. Even in the South, they keep them off TV. Yeah, I mean, it's just watch wherever you live, like New Orleans. Do you think they speak like they speak in New Orleans? You heard? You think anybody speaks like that? Well, today in the weather, it's not going to rain. You heard? Nobody speaks like that. Your broadcasters speak like people speak in the Midwest. You don't hear people in California speaking like Valley girls. I was listening to a young lady doing a thing about juicing and stuff, and she kept going, okay. It was like instead of she switched it to okay every time she would get to a different, like, and okay is a break. I mean, I know I the day spell because it is a break on words. Like people use it as a break. I understand that, but it's a parodying. It's a parodying that was put out there as a spell, and it's a parodying spell. So even though it is a break on words, and that's what makes it so effective, because it is a break on words. Instead of going, people are like, and it's like sometimes it doesn't even make sense. I was listening to this politician, and he's just talking about the State of the Union and everything, and then he was like, but at the end of the day, and it's like the shit made no sense when he said that shit. It just, again, people hearing that shit. I had to correct my mother about that. I was like, you said the spell. I had to correct my daughter. Well, Dad, at the end of the day, like, no, don't say that spell. That's a spell. Even this, so, be aware of that. Be aware of parodying words. You're starting to hear it on TV. Remember what they would say, the new normal, which is the normal nowadays. The new normal's turned into the normal. So, it's just interesting. Like Karl Malone would have never been on TV long. Never. Because again, he didn't go. That's why I'm so surprised with Avery Johnson. Because he has a strong. One thing that you notice Michael Jordan did, Charles Barkley had to do it. They took classes. They took diction classes. Look their stuff up. They both took diction classes. Michael is from North Carolina. Larry, I went to A&T with Larry Jordan. Larry spoke with a Southern twang, but you see, Michael didn't. But they took class. Charles Barkley was terrible. If you ever heard Charles Barkley speak when he was playing at Auburn, he's from Alabama. Strong Southern accent. But they took classes to get rid of it. Kenny Smith is from New York. He had to take classes as well. Shaq's, I don't know, Shaq is CIA-ish. It's definitely hard to call the championship game after today. I catch myself when saying at the end of the day, yeah, you have to break that parody, because that's what it is. It's a parody spell. And I caught Cat Williams saying it at 11. But what was funny, because Sly was really the first cat I ever heard use it constantly. And after I was hearing Sly say it all the time, I heard a chick in Australia say it, and I was like, oh, shit, that's how strong this spell is. This chick was working. It's like one of the channels is an Australian zoo program. It's a zoo in Australia. And she was like something with the animals, and she got to talking, and something happened to them. Well, we care about the animals, but at the end of the day, we love the animals or some shit. So it's been a spell for a while. Yeah, you wouldn't know the Stan Van Aert, a sports is from New Orleans, till he says it. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be in broadcasting, you can't. that's what surprised me about Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson was coaching at Alabama. Now, a couple of years after his recruits are there, Alabama is the number 2 seed. But so it surprises me. It surprises me that they let him speak. Who's the other chick that's from LSU? Burleson is I think the center that plays for the Timberwolves. No, for the Lynx. My cousin drafted her when he was with the Sky, but she's from LSU, and they have her. She does a lot of talking now. She's on when the Timberwolves. She's like a color person that pre-show, like before the show she talks, and then like halftime they let her talk. So, hey, Spiroglyphs, thank you for joining me. So, but she, again, they take them classes, they learn their proper diction. And I know, like my 19-year-old son, he could always hear my Southern because I still say some lazy words. Not every word, but you still hear some like my daughter's mother would always tease me because I would say what was it about I wouldn't say about or something. She was both. I wouldn't say both. I would say both instead of saying both. So she would always tease me, both. We're both going. Because that's speaking Southern, lazy kind of speaking, both instead of both. So these are just practice. But again, get your money in the games where you can. I still got 3 teams in it. They said 10 players tested positive, and I don't either, because they said they only needed 5. And this is the thing, 10 players in the bubble. They're supposed to be just down there in their own little area, and yet 10 players supposedly tested. So now you got to look. So what they was trying to say is that what outside people, is it going to affect the rest of the teams? So it makes me wonder if they're going to shut all that down. It really does make me wonder because it's more of a psyop. I think the money might play a greater part because the gangsters wanted to go on. Yeah, Avery Johnson has a very strong. I watched the game he analyzed the other day. I knew I would hit Simmons. Yeah, you know him. You hear it. You hear, and it's just interesting. He's one of the cats they haven't made take classes, and maybe they have, but he was at Alabama, so why wasn't he taking classes then? Well, he played pro 20 years ago, so why wasn't he taking classes then? He was doing interviews all then. And people let him slide. And to me, it seems like they're mocking him. By letting him go through, it's a type of mocking. That's what it makes me think. So he's also from New Orleans. Yes, he's from New Orleans. Yes. And so it's an interesting dynamic that they allow that. So, but make all the money you can off these games. I still have my 3 teams that are going. I think this is going to be like when Duke won it, when Trey that played for Duke. This is with Memphis now. Trey Jones. I think that because that year I was knocked out of one bracket, but my 3 other teams made it to the Final Four. I had Duke winning it, and Duke won it. I'm kind of seeing that same kind of pattern. We'll see. I still think Illinois is the most talented of the teams. I think we're going to see the championship replay of the '89 final with Illinois and Michigan, which was a great game. And then Michigan ended up beating Seton Hall by Ramil Robertson's free throws. And Ramil Robertson, he has to be one of the coldest motherfuckers in the world. I mean, this dude was adopted. He was adopted or he was in foster care. Bought his mother a house when he got his money. But when this dude got to scheming and shit, he schemed his mother out of the house. She comes home and finds out he done remortgaged the house, and she damn near lost the house. Some friends and family kind of helped her get the house back. But I mean, that's cold. That is cold to put a person that took you off the streets, raised you as a son, raised you to the college ranks, raised you to the professional ranks, And like, if you watch the interview, he was like, "Oh well, she knew what she was getting into." That was his answer. That's how cold this dude was. I mean, it was like that you put your mother homeless. That takes a cold heart there. That's a real cold heart. So I am I am a Rutgers fan. I think they'll beat Houston tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know. Rutgers though plays in the Big Ten, right? I think Rutgers is in the Big Ten, so they play tough competition. All 10 teams made it. I think 10 teams made it out of the Big Ten. So good possibility. Larry Nance can take classes all he wants, but he's a brand of Southern accent that would not go away. Another one is Brad Daugherty. You know, Brad Daugherty does NASCAR commentary sometimes. And at one time he was an owner. He was probably the first brother that was part of owning the NASCAR team was him. And Nance actually used to race himself. But Brad Daugherty still is not great, but NASCAR lets everybody speak, the way they speak. But notice the person that's calling play-by-play for NASCAR doesn't speak with a Southern accent. Jeff Gordon is from California. Now, the other dude that they got in a fight when they were racing, he's from down south somewhere, I do believe. Because, NASCAR probably 30 years ago went everywhere, where it wasn't just a Southern thing anymore. You could go to these small races all over the country. And that's kind of how Jeff Gordon. So it wasn't as much of a Southern thing. When I lived in North Carolina, I went to some races that looked like they was racing around a damn track field. It was amazing. I want to say that at one time, Winston-Salem played their games at this place I'm talking about. This place was a football field that had an extra wide track on it. And they were racing around this damn thing. But it was a football field in the middle. But they were racing cars around this dang like football field kind of track. It was in Winston-Salem. But it blew my mind that they were actually racing cars around this. It looked like a concrete track, like a racetrack for people running. But yet they're racing cars around this thing. So, oh, you meant Brad Daugherty? Yeah, Brad Daugherty. Okay, cold-blooded like Rick James. Yeah, it's Big Ten. Yeah, they're in Big Ten. That's what I thought. Yeah, Rutgers is it. So Rutgers plays good competition. Oh, you know something I found out today, and I didn't even know this. So Iowa, one of my friends that I played in the Gus Macker with, he played he was I don't even remember what year, 90. He might have graduated from high school 94, 96. Well, let me see. No. Let's see. I think maybe 92. Maybe 92. I think he was born in 74. But he was Mr. Basketball saying 92, 93. He played at Iowa. And what's funny about his story is he could have went to Kentucky and played on that national championship team. Probably would have started with Ray Mercer and all them. But he went to Iowa and really didn't play on good teams. But he played all 4 years. He played some pro ball. I know he played in Sweden. He played a couple places. I think he played in Holland for a couple, all lower leagues. And then, he had two twin boys. So his name is, Murray. So it's a Keegan Murray. He's two twin boys that play on Iowa. Number 15 for Iowa is his son, and then there was another one on the bench. Last I knew, they had got junior college rides, junior college scholarships. So I didn't even know. My best friend, I was telling him that. He was like, yeah, the brother's playing for Iowa. But that's where he played, and he got his sons to Iowa. So look for Keegan Murray, number 15 for Iowa. And then his other son didn't get to play. So I'm wondering if he's attorneys nowhere near the same as used to be 27. I'm sick of acting like sports are the same. No, they're not the same. I think they strategically took apart sports away from us for a month so that people would stoop down to the level of quality. Oh, you know Keegan? Yeah, Keegan Murray. Yeah. That's I forget his dad's name just that quick, but that's his son. That's from Battle Creek. Went to Iowa. Yep. He played with a cat from Albion. I can't think of his name, but him and this other cat, because later I did tournaments for him up in Albion, but him and this other cat played, instead of him going to Kentucky, he went to Iowa. Yep. So, yeah, but that's my guy. I should bring the article where we played in the Macker, and I mean we was hooping, and we lost. We end up getting second place. But what did Rosie Perez say? Sometimes when you lose, you win. So when you win, like they quit giving out the big trophies. They quit giving out the big team trophies, and so they started giving out plaques, being cheap. But you got a plaque, and all the 4 people got these little Gus Macker trophies. So for some reason, they gave us the sportsmanship. So I'm coming out of there with, because it was my team, I'm coming out of there with 2 plaques and 2 little trophies. So sometimes when you lose, you still win. So it's kind of cool. And we hooped. I had the patent leather. I remember my cousin's husband was playing with me, and he brought me, I gave him money to get me the patent leather Iversons. I don't know what those ones was called. I like those. Those were better than the answered ones, but those was like hooping on with pillows on your feet. But it was the patent leather blue Iversons. I can't think of which model that was. Do your son got a shot of playing D1? None of my sons. My one son that was the most athletic, he ended up going to a junior college. He had kind of destroyed his ankle. And I had to work one weekend and was gone reffing all day. And he snuck out the house and went with his friend. This was like 2 weeks before football season starts. Again, my son was the starting quarterback at his high school as a sophomore. 2 weeks before football starts, he decides to play on a know-nothing, lower level high school. You know, he's playing people his own age. It wasn't the top level. He's playing so just to get a ring, and he got the ring. But he had a layup, and a dude pushed him, and he probably needed surgery. But because it was football season, we kind of pushed it, and he played. So his ankle, so. And as far as basketball, even though he was 6'4", he kind of just played to the competition he faced. If he played against better players, he played better. But if he played against weaker players, he wouldn't dominate. He would play to the level of the competition. He just wouldn't dominate. My son is 6'7". My oldest son and my son is 6'7" took the attitude like, just because you played and you were good doesn't mean we have to play. My oldest son broke his wrist in 8th grade football. That was probably the happiest day of his life. Just honestly, it probably was. He just was playing to make me happy. My 19-year-old son, the one that's 6'7", he played football for one season. Then when we moved here, he's going to play football. And it was like I was trying to – I had his mom watching his practice while I watched my other son's practice, because we had 2 sons practicing at the same time. He says he got cleated in his face or head, and he didn't want to play after that. So 16, Tennessee played Virginia Tech at Bristol. The game was at Bristol Motor Speedway. It held NCAA record attendance 156,000. Wow. I think I remember that. Apprentice to Honesty. Yeah, so these none of them. My youngest son is 6'5", 250, and just solid man, but he never he really can't catch. He just never had great hand-eye coordination, even as a little boy. Monster playing football, but he hurt his knee. He got drunk, went to a party the day before practice, hurt his knee, sprained his knee. So he practiced, like his junior year, he practiced, but he never played. He never ended up playing. So, and he has the size and everything. I'm still thinking, I'm like, man, we still might drive down to A&T and let them check you out if I had the money to put him in school. But it's that's like none of Jordan's children were as good as him. They didn't get as tall either. His younger son, Jeffrey, maybe, he was better. He was the better of the 2. I remember one time Larry was with him with a bodyguard, and we were outside of Forest? Because here it's Lake Forest. I think it's Forest Lake outside of Illinois. And so they didn't live too far from that place. So it was Larry with the boys and a bodyguard, and got to see both the boys play, talk to Larry. And the younger boy was a little better, but neither one of them is as good. So you see sometimes you see children that can thrive because they were in gyms. I mean, most of my children grew up in gyms. Now, when I was more active, my younger boys, they were younger. In 2000, one was born in 2001, one was born in 2002. So I'm 40 years, in 2001, I was 40. So, my best basketball was between 30 and 37, 38. At 40, I wasn't quite the player that I was at 35. I mean, you just changed. My jumping wasn't as high. I could still always shoot. I could always shoot, I have no problem. And I could always score, but it's just that I was that much older. So my point is they weren't in the gyms as much. Like when I coached high school ball and played every day, they were little boys. They were like 2-3 years old. And like we had a gym where they couldn't, when I had weekend practices, the front doors was the only way you could get out the gym. You had to go out of the front doors. And so they were too little, and the doors were big, heavy gym doors. So they were too little to even reach up to the doors to push themselves out. So I gave them a couple balls and then I held practice because there was nothing they could do to get hurt or they couldn't get out. So, but again, they were young. Now, my oldest son and my 26-year-old son, my two oldest children, they both have the healthy lifestyle. I mean, they both eat properly, they both work out, and that's my youngest son. He does mixed martial arts, MMA, and all that. And so he works out, lifts. There's a Snap Fitness around the corner. He goes and works out on that. So he has the healthy lifestyle that he picked up from my 26-year-old, or soon to be 26-year-old. At 28, I am playing my best pickup ball, and you've been having kids for some years. Oh, read my soul. Yeah, you should be. At 35, like the team I played with, we had to play in an open league, even though we was all older dudes, and we won it 10 years straight. We played open with everybody in the top league when we played in Battle Creek, and we won it every year. And matter of fact, I think I was 35 or 36. I averaged, and we played 15, 16 games. I averaged something like 26 points a game. And I remember they screwed me and didn't give me the MVP of the team. But they handed out the stats, and they looked at the stats. I had a couple games where I scored 38. I don't think I ever scored less than 26, 28, somewhere in there. And people was looking at the stats, was like, oh, maybe we should have gave it to you. But it was okay. It wasn't that big a deal. But it was just, that's how well I was playing. As I was going back and forth from Minneapolis to Michigan, my friend that played with the Globetrotters, I was playing with some of the Globetrotter cats and playing ball. So when I moved here, it was like the gyms used to be called Bally's. Like, you remember Bally Clothes? Well, Bally's, like all they call them Lifetime Fitnesses now. They used to be all Bally's. I'll just say that they're not the same location, but the same type of franchise was once called Bally. So all of us had Bally passes. It was a Bally's when I talked about Pat Mahomes Sr. when he dunked on Tyrone. We was at a Bally's, but we was in the St. Paul Bally's. For some reason, we all went over to St. Paul and played. And Pat Mahomes Sr. dunked on Tyrone, and he dunked on him like Tyrone was running on, like Pat was going in his right and went up, and Tyrone was kind of coming from his left. And just the way he dunked it, when it dunked through, it hit Tyrone like right in the face. Pat threw it down, and just the way Tyrone started to jump, but the rim kind of blocked him. And so he was up in the air, and the ball just smashed him in the face. Pat just like dunked it, and it like boom, bounced off his face. And I've said this before, Pat Mahomes Sr. is probably the best all-round athlete I've ever ran across. I would say, but see, I would say even better than Derek Jeter, because Derek Jeter didn't play football. Pat, if I remember right, Pat was an All-American quarterback. Pat could have played quarterback at the University of Texas. He was offered a full scholarship. So Pat, I think, was All-American in basketball, football, and baseball. And then Pat signed. I think he initially came in with the Twins. He could throw that ball. We'd always be playing around, and we'd get him to throw balls with him. He could throw. I mean, I don't think I ever saw him play walking bucket. But yeah, Pat was a hell of an athlete. A nice guy. Really nice guy. But one of the best athletes, if not the best I ever ran across. That's why I'm not surprised about his son. I mean, Pat had it, and his son. I don't think his son played basketball. I don't think Patty played basketball. He just played baseball. And he had baseball offers as well. If he could have played, I think he had offers to play semi-pro too. So, or play, minor league. I think he could have played minor league too. So, one thing I wanted to mention about last night when I asked everybody to get into consciousness, and to give you a reference on if you want to watch simple, I'm umming too much. Simple possession is Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap is nothing but the czar path, the czar hallways. That's all it is. He is possessing people. He's jumping, but he's possessing people. It's like, remember, he would start the show, he would look in the mirror and he had to see who he was. Well, what they're showing you is they kind of use the mirror as the guide in some ways, because each show would almost start when he looks in the mirror and he's like, oh, I'm this person. Like he didn't have control. That was the difference. Remember, he never so-called could have control, which is some BS. And that kind of, if you have those abilities, you can always control who you possess. But it was a show strictly about possession. And people loved the show. None of the people ever wrote in like, hey, you got to get this kind of stuff off of here. People love that show. Like it when Julius Erving, he dunked on Michael Cooper. I would say it was better from the case that just the way he jumped, he didn't duck his head like Cooper did. He jumped, but his jump was just late. And his face, just the angle he took, I don't know, it's kind of funny to see. It's like he jumped late and Pat had already kind of went up. And so when he jumped, he really didn't get that high. And then again, the rim was right there. And he was just perfect because the ball came from right. The ball came from, like, he dunked it to the right and it came out of the left side and just smashed Tyrone in the face. It's funny. My boy Chevelle always laughs at him about that. Like, Tyrone, you remember Pat dunked in your face? And Tyrone's, Pat was our guy. I mean, we just teased Pat one time. I'm like, Pat, man, he's like, how'd you guys like the seats? Because we brought my in-laws here and he got us great tickets on the third baseline. And then he saw me. He was like, did you like the seats for your family? I'm like, thanks, man. But, I want to sit behind Kirby's wife. He's like, oh, okay. You want to sit back there? Cool. And we was sitting back behind Kirby's wife. We were sitting behind home plate the rest of the season. Because we had two players. It was, if you guys remember, Willie was the other dude. If you remember, it was a minor league dude who the ball went up like for a home run and he ran through the fence. Does anybody ever remember seeing that? You might have saw it on bloopers or something. That was Willie. Willie ran through the fence in the minor leagues, but Willie was playing with the Twins too at the same time. But if you ever look up a player running through the fence in minor leagues, that's Willie. Willie ran through the fence. I'm pretty sure that was his name. It was Willie. But he ran through the fence. So we always had tickets at Pat. If it was somebody, Pat had somebody in town or but I don't ever remember asking for tickets and not getting tickets. It was like, and baseball, it's 160 games. So I like going. So I would like hit him up all like, man, go to Will Call, there are the tickets. So he never let me down. Good guy. Not like J.R. Ryder's foul ass. I called J.R. like, man, I got this girl. Please give me good tickets. And this asshole has me up in nosebleeds. Then had the nerve to call me laughing like, how'd you like those tickets? Luckily, it wasn't a very it was like the winter time. Nobody was there, so we was able to move down. What sometimes if it's a packed game, they won't let you do because it's ushers at every exit. If you ain't got a ticket to get you in, but it was like nobody there. It was Utah, Kyle Malone. I saw Kyle Malone play 10 times. So read my soul. Yeah, baseball games. I was just telling when I was like, a lot of times I do my walking at the mall. So I was just telling the girl, I love Wednesday baseball here. Twins baseball on Wednesday gives you, I think it's $1 hot dogs and it's $1 beers. But it's always an afternoon game. So it's to get people to stay. And I hardly ever get people to go with me. It's like I'd have 2 or 3 tickets because my mother, when she used to manage these other apartments, one of the baseball players was staying on her property. So he would just give her the week's worth of tickets. And she would give it to, her coworkers that wanted to go. And most of the time, nobody, especially them afternoon games, I'd be by myself. Couldn't get a ticket away. But I would go there and chump on some hot dogs and drink beer for $1. And it's so laid back. I mean, what is a better thing to do than being outside when it's hot and sunny? And just it's like football, you always got to watch the game. It's always action. Basketball is up and down. Baseball, between 1 to 2 hitters, it's a break. Between innings, it's a break. It's always breaks in baseball. And then they do the 7th inning stretch. So it's just constant breaks. So if you like a dude's at bat, you might go get your beer, get your hot dog, use the bathroom, go run to your car, run back, and it'd be the same dude up the bat. I mean, that's how slow baseball is. Isaiah Ryder, yeah. Edwards reminds me of him, but I think Edwards is a little taller. Ryder wasn't terribly taller than me. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see how tall J.R. Ryder was. But standing next to me, he wasn't terribly taller than me. I think Edwards is like 6'4". How tall was Isaiah Ryder? See what they say. There's no way. See, they got him at 6'5". There's no way. No way he's that big. No way he's that big. That would mean when he stood, Tyrone, okay, now this show you how wrong this is right here. They got Harold Miner at 6'5". Harold Miner is not 6'5". No, Harold Miner is not 6'5". Harold Miner barely 6'1". I might be taller than Harold Miner. He is not 6'5". So Ryder is probably more like 6'2.5", maybe 6'3". He ain't 6'5" though. But that's my man too. Good guy. Funny. One of the funniest hoopers I ever ran around, just telling jokes and shit. Very funny dude. Baseball's fun. You can get drunk and not miss I'm telling you, dollar beers on Wednesdays. And I would catch the train. Like I'm trying to think where I was living. Maybe I just would catch the bus. I remember I took my son with me, and I was living in the hood at the time. And so I took my older son with me. So going there was no big deal. It was like afternoon. But when we was coming home, because you can catch a bus right in front of where the Twins plays. Because again, I didn't want to pay for parking and all that and fight the crowd. So just jump on the bus. So we're coming home, and it's school time. And it's like the buses are packed. And I mean packed, where everybody's standing up. I think my son had to stand up. I sat down. But it was just like, it was a lot of brothers and sisters. And I could just look at my son's face, and I was just laughing. And we were both kind of a little drunk, too. But just looking, we got back to the house. He's like, never again will I ride the bus. I'm like, a little too ethnic for you, wasn't it, son? A little too black. He's just like, never again. I was just sitting there cracking up at him, though. So it was just funny to me. It was just funny, but yeah, I love baseball live. It is such a peaceful, it's such a peaceful and fun and family friendly time. I mean, it really is. The pace of the game is just it's a nice thing to watch. Now, one thing I won't ever do is I will never sit in the outfield stands again. My brother's wife gave me 5 tickets, and I took my boys. It was 5 of us. And yeah, you feel the wind move in the stands. When you was walking, like they sell the plastic baseball hard hats, nachos, really good. But they put it like you get a baseball helmet and they just fill it with nachos and meat on it and cheese. And so when you're walking up the stairs, you feeling these damn stairs doing like this. I was like, yeah, never again would I sit out there. And the only reason I did then because somebody gave me tickets, but I didn't know how bad it was. But you feel like every time somebody's walking on the stand, you're kind of like. So if you go to Target Field, don't ever sit in those stands. Don't be tricked or talked into it, because that's the worst place to sit. Hey, Green Onion, thank you for joining me. So, well, I took a break, so let me give the divination for today. We should be at 13 platoons, 0 cartoons. 13 platoons, 0 cartoons. I lost my rhythm. Here we go. 13 batoons, 0 katoons, 8 tunes. I'll say 13 batoons, 0 katoons, 8 tunes, 6 uno, and we are 12 kin. We are 12 kin. And the energy should be from the west. And we are on day 12. And day 12 is ebb. Human as vessel for penetration of higher minds. Okay. For penetration of higher minds. And for those that like the fractals, no, we are in the south. So if you want to manifest tomorrow, energy is from the south. I think I made a mistake in my cards. I did. Grab the wrong card. I didn't change it from last night. That's right. I did not change it from last night. And so 12 is called Manali. And this is the card. And this card, Maui, is seated on top of a turtle and a snake. Animals who spend their whole life firmly attached to the earth, grounded. This means that she is deeply rooted and connected to the earth, and her power is the power of the earth. In one hand, she holds a bowl with flowers. See how in one hand, she holds a bowl with flowers representing good medicine, healing. In the other hand, she carries thorns, symbolizing the bad medicine. In other words, used wisely, the power of herbs and plants may bring life, but used in the absence of the sacred, the same power can bring pain and death. Here we see again the ever-present Toltec awareness of duality in everything. The energy of the herb is not good or bad, but it's the way you use it. The experiences produced by the use of perception altering can bring learning and joy, but these power substances, if they're not handled properly, can also bring sorrow and destruction. By the same token, the extracts of plants can be used to produce medicines and to produce poison. This is the essential meaning of the flower and the thorns of the garden. Let me plug my computer in before it craps out on me. So the positive meaning of Manati represents the power of a healer. As a warning signal, it represents the risk of physical or psychic ebrianation. The sign of the healer may come to you because you need to look for healing for yourself or because you are called to become a healer. Often both messages apply to the same person. Healing as it is meant here encompasses the service of a modern doctor. Curandero, spiritual healer, medicine person, therapist, counselor, anyone involved in supporting healing processes. You will relate to the one that happens to be appropriate for your situation. The archetype of the wounded healer is very relevant to the understanding of this card. Only when you have suffered pain and recovered from the pain can you understand and support others. Your sorrows, your failures, your times of crisis, emotional pain, all of them will be your assets when you are going to support healing in others, as long as you have recovered and found peace for yourself. This is when then you will be ready to personify the healer automatically. The healer and the healing come together as the two sides of the same coin. The warning meaning of Malani may apply to if you are having or if you are on your way to having problems related to the abuse of certain chemicals. In this case, it is important to have your inner eyes wide open. All too often, users admit they have problems only when it is too late to reverse it. Make sure this doesn't happen. Be careful what you ingest, but those are the ones that can be small doses of pleasure, numbness, or being buzzed can be seen by some as harmless, but their effects on your energy level can hurt your productivity, capacity to connect with devastating, especially over time. With the herb, card carries a warning, it also signifies the need for healing. If Manali is warning you, you put some action to it. And some suggested activity, write down a list of what you consume and talk to people who trust you. That is why, you see far too often, or not, that's why when you see abuse counselors, there are people that have went through the experience that can relate. Hey, strong discernment, thank you. Hey, smoke creek, thank you. And so these are just, that is why, because people that can relate, because again, you don't want to put people in positions that can't relate. You don't want to put a person that doesn't have any experience that can't relate to people that have substance abuse problems. I mean, it's just, and so that's why these type of people, help with that. But it can be abuse of anything. Again, when I talk about my hustling days, I think almost every hustler will tell you money can become an addiction. And I don't mean working. I mean, especially easy money that, and this, I know people say easy money because hustling ain't easy. I mean, you got to constantly be on it, constantly be aware of getting robbed and all that. But it's you're not working for anybody. You're working for yourself. Okay. Let me grab this. And money can become it can be that thing that's pushing you more than the drug. And so you might start taking chances and getting sloppy because of the money and taking risks you wouldn't normally take because of the money. So that's something to beware of. It can be addiction just as much as substances can be addiction. So, but in this day and age, even though it appears like things are loosening up, it's funny. People, how do I want to say this? I'll say this. It's like people now seem to be doing a roundabout. And I don't even know if some of the people can be considered research community. I think they were part of the truthers. But some of these people are making a full kind of turn. And it's interesting. It's interesting. You can tell when people get paid off. All of a sudden, the narrative changes. Like this one cat is always saying, well, they don't want to kill everybody off. They don't want to make everybody take the shot. Yes, they do. They want to make everyone take the shot. And I'm not saying that the Georgia Guidestones are absolute, but I'm saying they mean that. Now, they can't kill everyone quick. They've tried that before. I mean, when they killed so many Mayans, let me take that back. They killed so many people in South America and Mexico that it caused a nuclear winter. It caused the Ice Age. Because here, I would guess that those gods had a little bit to do with it, because you had a lot of this land that had been farmed for thousands of years. So the ecosystem was moving a certain way in thousands of years. All of a sudden, all these people got massacred. And it caused an ice age in Europe. Look it up. It caused an ice age. It changed the ecosystem around the world. Because these people that would have been farming, all of a sudden they're dead. They're not farming anymore. So Europe suffered. And so they've learned that my point is they've learned that they can't just kill like that anymore. Again, when they got reset the time before our time, they got totally reset. I imagine it wasn't until when guns first came out around the late 13th and 14th century. That's wizard work. Guns come from wizards. To learn how to kill on a massive level, you can't say an arrow could kill on a massive level. You could kill from further back, but you ain't killing 3 or 4 people with one weapon. Now, and this is one thing that's interesting about Cortez. They had cannons, but the guns weren't anything. But Cortez had 500 people, something like 30 horses, 5 guns. Don't know how many cannons. But again, you got to pull them cannons. You have to have gunpowder. So how did Cortez have all these things? How How did he have enough gunpowder? Again, after Montezuma's brother damn near killed him. But how did they sleep? That's still what doesn't make sense. I don't care how many cannons if you have. If I have 20,000 people, I'm going to kill you just in numbers. I'm not going to stop attacking you. You only have 500 people. I don't care if you have 5 cannons. I have the numbers. And how are you going to sleep? That tells you some of that's got to be a lie. The same as the British here. Why weren't the British constantly attacked? Doesn't make sense. Hey, Unique Breed, thank you for joining me. I hate I be so hungry at night. If you kill off the melanin people, the world would burn. Our skin leaves a protective layer on the earth. Read my soul. Very well said. But alert, there are forces that are working against the bad guys, and for us, forces that don't even know about. I would say somewhat, yeah. It was like that TV movie Lost, and I've said this many times. The TV movie Lost. They had one of the creatures on the island was a smoke hand, and the hand would just come out of the ground, and it would grab somebody, just boom, 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 boom. Even read about the Haitian War, Haitians against the French. One reason why they quit coming on land is because some of them cats was saying knives and stuff was flying at them. So look that kind of stuff up, where they was getting killed and they wasn't seeing any soldiers killing them. It was knives and hatchets, and they was just getting waxed, and they couldn't figure out why. So look that up. That you find that in the lore. So their thing was, well, we're going to choke it off. So Haiti went from one of the richest. Haiti was France's richest colony. It was their richest colony. And how all these years that has it fallen down? And do you think the earthquakes that have attacked Haiti and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic are by accident? And you got a hell of a leader that after a hurricane, he jump shoots. Uncle Imbecile was jump shooting paper towels, like a paper towel is going to fix your house broken down by an earthquake. It's just plain silly. But we do have forces that seem to be that there's a tipping point. Because again, they want to put these names on this stuff that it's not. They've stole a lot. When they went into Mexico, if you look at the Goetias, this is something that came from the Americas. Now I know it's you think that the British and you think King James and all them, but no, this stuff was taken from the Americas and given to John D, the first 007. Look at my brother's work. He studies this very intensely. But and then they've taken his channel down. He had something like 10 subscribers. He had 4 people watch a video, and they took his whole channel down again. So hopefully he'll come on with me the next few maybe next week, hopefully. But all these sigils, and what they did is they put locks on them. And that's what you see locks on them. Like if you look at Lucifer's sigil, you see locks on the bottom as crosses. You can tell the things that were added. And so my brother's coming out with a book. I think I talked about this last year. He's putting his book together and going to show the proper sigils and how to use them without the locks on them. Because that's, again, when you get into wanting to circle a being, that is European, how the Europeans had to do it. Because again, they were using things that they didn't really have full power over. So they had to find binding. That's why they say the binding spells. That was for them because they were using this thing that was never meant for them. So they had to bind them. And they had to hide them as well. They had to hide a lot of them. And they had to demonize. And anytime you see the Catholic Church trying to demonize something, makes you wonder. They want our land, but the earth will flood them out. The more they take, the more the universe pushes them out. Was LeBron born for the NBA? Yes, Unique Breed, he definitely was. I agree, Read My Soul, though. I agree that they have to tread very slowly. They have to tread very slowly, because if they kill the way they killed before, they are always up to be reset. So that's something that doesn't seem like it's going to go away. That is why they want to kill slowly instead of just slaughtering everyone. Because, and I think we all really should be alarmed by the amount of people they want to bring in here, because the people coming in are not going to be skilled people. And we know our people, melanated people in America, are not in most cases, not the higher skilled labor. They're the working class. It's only been since, I mean, my mother sold real estate with a high school diploma. She still does management. In her 80s, still works. Loves it. She's into management. She manages a big apartment complex. She's managed other apartment complexes, made a career out of it. My stepfather was an industrial engineer. General Motors educated him. So he was an engineer with a perk of getting a new car every 12 months. Every 12 months, he was given a car. The 30 years he worked for General Motors, he got a new car every year. It kind of got his credit because he was given these cars, and it was hard for the banks to understand that he didn't have car credit or car payments because he was getting new cars. So they bought a couple cars. When I started driving, they bought a couple more cars. So he started having car payments because he didn't have car payments, because that was part of one of his perks, is he was given a car. So now, unique breed, absolutely. I still think that Nate Thurman was LeBron's dad. His mother got pregnant as a teenager, and I think she was artificially inseminated artificially. I think she was. I really do. Shaq was probably another one. That was the sergeant, and I think that sergeant died. I think Shaq's stepfather died, but he wasn't Shaq's real father. I know Ricky Lake had a dude claiming to be Shaq's real father, like, Shaq doesn't talk to me, but looking at that dude, very doubtful. And they tried to bring some pictures of some dude who hooped in Akron that had a Jerry curl, but it looked like LeBron face. It's like, look at Michelle Obama, look at her little girl pictures, and then look at the pictures of the mama. Almost all Michelle's pictures is that mama's face. When you look at Michelle as a little girl, it's superimposed of the mother's face, Michelle's mother's face. Just look at the pictures of her, and you look at the mother's face, and you start going through picture by picture of her so-called being younger, and you see that mother's face imposed over and over and over again. Again, detail has kind of been my career as a quality person, so I can catch details and almost different details in almost anything. So, and I'm not saying yeah or no, if she's Michael, it appears so, but who cares? But LeBron, but not just LeBron, it was other players. Zion is another one. The guy that represented him was his stepdad. That wasn't supposedly his blood father. That was a stepfather. And that's what you see over and over again. So yeah, players are starting to be created. I would even say I was talking about Patty Mahomes. You look at the mother and the dad and the mother, they ain't together anymore. They ain't together. They broke up a long time. They probably been broke up most of his life. What did Ball say? The mother was an ex-volleyball player. He said that's kind of why he picked her, because he knew he would have tall sons. I mean, my ex-wife is 6'2.5". When I met her, she wasn't tall as me, but she just kept getting taller. And her dad was about 6'4", 6'5". Both of her uncles, she had tall uncles. She had one short uncle. Her mother wasn't overly tall. Her mother was probably 5'6", 5'7". She wasn't very tall. Now she's built just like her mama. Big gut. But that's how her mom was built. That's just, if you don't work out and take care of yourself, you can be a woman and have a gut look like you're pregnant your whole life. But just capping a little bit on her, but that's kind of what she accepted. What she accepted once she came here and got healthy. And never been a person to work out. I had to bribe her to get her to work out. It was never her habits to work out. And she's younger than me and diabetic. I mean, physically, biologically, she's probably 60-year-old woman, and she's about to turn 47, I think, next week. It's funny, two of my baby mamas, one's birthday is Tuesday and one's birthday is Wednesday. And she still acts like her birthday is like it was when she was in her 40s. Like this big event. Yeah, it's not big anymore. I mean, you're almost 50. It's not big anymore. But it's interesting that sign kind of attracted me. So to answer your question, more than likely he was. More than likely he was, because it seems to be a pattern that they're doing is there's no father around. That seems to be a pattern. No father, stepfather's in the picture. So we see far too many, especially NBA. Baseball, sometimes you don't see all the families. Football is a little different because football is more cats going to college and stuff, and so the families are kind of a little tighter in football. I was watching a video about Jay Morant journey to the NBA, and it was weird how he came into the league. Well, Morant was with Williams, AAU, and I want to say there's South Carolina, or was Morant, because it's parts of South Carolina and Georgia that are really close together. I know Zion was South Carolina, but I think they played on an AAU team out of Georgia. Maybe I'm forgetting. Because Zion played terrible competition in high school. He played in the Christian league. He didn't play in top high school competition. And again, his game wasn't fully developed. If anybody wasn't ready to go to the league, it was definitely him. Yeah, he could do layups and stuff, but his jump shot wasn't ready. Once your athleticism leaves, you got to come with something else. And when he gets 30, remember, we watched Vince Carter. Vince Carter played the same way. And he ended up and Vince Carter just retired. You're telling me it's a spot for this 40-year-old dude, and you got all these people playing in the D League. Why would you want that 40-year-old dude to keep playing? Why, as a 40-year-old, would you want to keep hooping? That's what I didn't understand. 80-some games, why would you want at 40 to keep hooping? He was older than some of the coaches. But how, like I was talking about Ramil Robertson, how often do we see that? These players might have been out of foster, no father in the homes. I mean, that's far too common that we see that. LeBron's talking about, they's moving all the time and stuff. Like the mama couldn't have got Section 8. If she would have tried to get Section 8 when he was 1, sometimes it's a thing, but it's like, why didn't the mama get Section 8? Why didn't she apply for affordable housing? If you're on welfare, you ain't got to really move all the time. Like he claims they moved all the time. You can get on welfare. You can get affordable housing that goes by your income. So some of these we were so poor stories, it just doesn't add up because there's a way you can use the system. Pac-Man, imagine if I went to Oak Hill for 2 years and came in the league polished instead of still kind of raw right now. There you go, Pac-Man. Again, these are prep schools. Oak Hill, it's prep schools. So these are schools where you could get another year of eligibility and play against other prep schools. You wouldn't be necessarily eligible to play against other high schools, but a lot of times prep schools play against other prep schools. And you can go to a prep school. You can go to prep school before you graduate as well. But a lot of times some cats, like it was, we had a dude out of California, moved to Battle Creek. He was going to Michigan. He would have been Prop 48, wouldn't have got to play back when they was doing that to players. They were doing that to brothers to keep brothers in school so brothers wouldn't go pro. So they made a rule where if you didn't have good grades, you had to sit out your freshman year. It was the same as banning freshmen that they had done from the 40s all up until probably the mid-70s when they finally made freshmen eligible. I think it was maybe the 80s when freshmen became eligible. Probably late 70s, mid to late 70s. Yeah, because Magic played his freshman year of 77, 78. So maybe 74, 75 is when they made freshmen eligible. So they reinstated that rule basically. And this cat had to go to a prep school. Shotty Vaughn left Robbinsdale Cooper, moved to Vegas, played 1 year prep ball, and which would have been his senior year. And then he stepped in right into UNLV. So most people think South Carolina get their high draft picks, never amount to anything because they play in weak private Christian school leagues. Zion played against teams with 6-foot centers. Zion is like 300. How does he move? Well, and this is the other part about Zion that you have to recognize. That cat couldn't walk. I mean, he did not have the proper way to walk. Watch one dude. It was a dude on the internet that was copying the way he walked, and this cat was like walking on the inside of his legs. That's why they kept him out, because they had to teach this dude how to jump and land. No one at Duke worked on that, apparently, even after they did the shoe incidents, which I think was on purpose. I think somebody either doctored the shoe, because they said the shoe disappeared. So I'm pretty sure they doctored his shoe. But again, the script was never for them to win the title anyway. When I saw Vince Carter set that chair on Swaggy P and Swaggy hit the floor hard, Steve Kerr yelled out, "Damn it, Vince, you know better." That's when I knew Vince should retire. Sat in that chair. But yeah, he should have retired. I mean, why would the league want him? Why would you want to take a spot? Makes you wonder about his bread. That's what I'm thinking, is his bread was shaky. Because why would you want to take a spot of a child? And I don't know if he was married or not. I can't say if he's married or not. But I don't know. Why would you want to put your wife through that? You have time to spend with your wife and children, or your children. Why would you keep wanting to play? The NBA elites choosing the people best to fit their roles. Exactly. Like, look at how Okafor was a #1 pick. Look how he's bounced around the league. Now, I know last year he was with the Pelicans. I don't know if he's with the Pelicans this year. He actually looked like he got in shape. But this cat, Duke, when they won a championship, he really wasn't even in shape then. He just played around a lot of dudes that could hoop. But he was lazy. It's a lot of dudes go in the league like that, and they get surprised that they might wash out. And yeah, you get the money, you get the bonus and your rookie contract, but and just like I mentioned about Christian Laettner, they don't let some of these cats. You win titles in college. It's very few that win titles in the league. Magic was one. Quinn Buckner was one. Magic and Quinn Buckner are the only ones that I know of that won high school championship, college championship, then pro championship. Quinn Buckner won a gold medal too, I do believe, in '76. And so I think Quinn Buckner is the only one that won it like that. Yeah, high school, college, pro, and Quinn Buckner has the Olympic that Magic doesn't have. So, but if you win a championship in college, a lot of times they won't let you win championships in the pros. And so that's why a lot of these great players don't win it. Oh, now Isaiah won it, and he did okay. He's James Worthy won on every level. You think James Worthy won in high school? Because he's from Gastonia, isn't he? And isn't he from Gastonia, him and Sleepy Floyd? Because I don't think him and Sleepy Floyd went to the same high school, though. So you could be right about James. I don't know. Because Sleepy Floyd is 2 years older than me and James. Me and James are the same age. Because James broke his ankle his freshman year. And then when Michael came the next year, they won a championship because it was what? Or did Michael come? Yeah, Michael only played that 1 year with Worthy. But I think when Michael came, so did Sam Perkins. I think the same class, Sam Perkins and Michael, or maybe Sam Perkins came the year after. I don't quite remember the difference in ages with Sam. Because Sam used to date this girl on A&T's campus, so I used to see Sam all the time. Oh. Draymond Green interview where he froze. Yeah, I remember that. Where Bill Walton, not fucking walk right. Yeah, how couldn't he grab Rocky? Some of these are under mind control. Cream definitely won on every level. Good point. And Bill Walton won in college. Okay. I mean, high school. Yeah, Cream won at every level too. Cream didn't get a gold medal, neither did Walton. But yeah, Cream won at every level. If Cream could have played as a freshman, they would have won it as a freshman. His freshman team beat the UCLA team that won the championship the year before. And Kareem, going his sophomore year, is when they outlawed the dunk. But Bill Walton won too. Okay, thank you for mentioning that. But yeah, look up Zion. That dude who imitated him because he walked on the insides of his feet. And so they had to, that's why they held Zion out so long, because Zion couldn't jump, and he hadn't learned how to jump and come down. It's like me. I was a toe walker, but as you become an older person, it's not healthy for you to toe walk. It tears down your leg. The thing that built up my legs as a child hurt my legs as a man. So I had to learn how to walk after I tore my Achilles, or even before I tore my Achilles, when I was having the plantar fasciitis problems. That was one of the problems. Is I had to learn how to do heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. I still have to remind myself. I don't walk quite like that since I tore my Achilles. I don't walk quite like that anymore. I don't know what that noise was. Every NBA starter is a Freemason, allegedly. I've never heard that. I've never heard that everyone, but some of them are. Oprah not even in the league now. He plays in Mobile. He plays in Houston, Hydel Mobile, Phoebus in 20 year. Okay, I didn't even know that. I did not know that. So I wasn't sure if he was still with them. So he played. What is that? A team in China? Is that a team in China? Maximus is the guy who does Zion. Ha, good one, Oregon. Orgasm. Mingor Maguz. Yeah, Jail. Yep. I do remember. It makes sense. Sorry, my allergies are getting to me tonight. But yeah, Zion had trouble walking, and I had to learn the same thing. I remember my friend that was Big Ten champion long jumper. He was the same way. He had to learn how to, especially when you long jump, you don't want to put all your power on just your toes. You want the full length of your foot to help push you off, not just your toes. So, and he set a record in Kalamazoo that might still exist for long jump. It was like 20. He was jumping 23 feet in high school, and that gave him a full ride in Michigan. So, he thought his thing was basketball, and he was obviously a better track person. He's in the Michigan Hall of Fame for track. Jimmy Ross, that was my guy, one of my best friends growing up. And it's funny, and I guess this isn't funny, but him at one time, Jimmy and his wife both had cancer and fought cancer, and then his wife died of cancer, and I know he's in remission. And his doctor, she was probably 54, 55 when she passed from it. Because somebody had called me and told me, because I knew they had both fought it together. They both had, what's the odds of that? And what would give two people married cancer at the same time? I always thought that was fishy too. But he was the Big Ten, champion. So you never know. Did play at Michigan. So you never know. Maybe that was the way a piper was paying him. He had to pay for the piper. I would say this is the thing on any sport. If it has a betting line, it is rigged. What was the national championship when it was here for women? I knew a girl that was involved. And remember Marion Jones, the track person? She was on that championship team too. When Carolina won a championship in women's basketball, it was here. And I just remember it was a betting line on the game. It was some kind of funny turnovers at the end. And then a girl hits a game-winning shot and wins it for Carolina. Marion Jones was on that team, the track person that later got in trouble for steroids or whatever she got in trouble for. They put her in jail or whatever, but she was on that team too. And that made me look at that after that game. And it was a betting line on that game. So the way to look at all women's basketball is if it's a betting line, it is rigged. And almost all things like that are college, women, men have a betting line. Now that betting is legal in most states, you can believe that they've turned up their fixing in these games. So, yeah, I would say Jail had those fights with random people early in his career. I think being out of shape, too. I think Jail was out of shape, too. Women's sports are rigged. Yeah, women's sports are definitely rigged. And again, look up the first women's pro league when they played on 9-foot hoops and wore booty shorts. I'll never forget that. 9-foot hoops and they wearing booty shorts. I mean, booty shorts, like volleyball shorts. volleyball booty shorts. Yep, Marion Jones was cute. She just had them teeth sitting on top of her gun. Texas got doomed with 28 date terminology. Andy Lynn, thank you for joining me. Scored 2B at the half. All teams scored 28 points in the quarter, half lost today. The 20, that's very good, Andy. But Marion Jones, yeah, I agree. I saw Ja was lazy in general. But I'll say this, Andy, too. 4 charging calls in the first 10 minutes of the game. That to me, when I saw that, and again, I'm kind of watching all the games, but when I saw, and it might have been 5 charging calls against Texas, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that showed me they could lose. That showed me they could lose. That really did show me they could lose. And I've watched these tournaments too much where these teams play against these top teams and they play Superman. Because I remember Michigan State was like a 2 and lost to a 12. And the same, I said this the other night, the same moves they were using against Michigan State, they played the next team and they was blocking them. But Michigan State had bigger players and couldn't block the shots. But these slow dudes from this small mid-major could all of a sudden just get by these guys. So, and it's funny what they said about Michigan State. They say one thing about Michigan State teams is players play all 4 years. They ain't sending many people as pros unless you play at Michigan State. Michigan ain't sending a whole lot of players to pro. You guys remember the point guard, Winston? Remember Winston? Winston is in the G League. Remember Winston played at Michigan State last year? He's waited all 4 years. Remember last week they had G League games on. Like last Tuesday night, I think. It was Monday or Tuesday night. They had a day of just G League games on. And I caught Winston on one of them G Leagues. And you know there's a G League All-Star team that plays in the league as well. And so we'll probably see that G League team when TNT comes up in the summer again. I bet the G League will be in that kind of thing, the money tournaments. And there's always been money tournaments. Since I was a little boy, there's always been money tournaments. Last play of the game was very fishy. That play I showed, the dude dribbles it off his ankle and then he turns around, he's smiling. It was like, job well done. You could, what caught me was like, wow, there was no frustration. Like I don't know what year the cat is, but if I dribbled the ball off my ankle, I would be distraught. Damn if I would have turned around and smiled. And some people might come to his defense and say, well, it was a nervous smile. Bullshit. Wasn't no nervous smile. That was like, I did what I was supposed to do. And the camera caught him smiling. Just like I was saying yesterday. I showed the video of the players bumping like they showed stupid ass Charles Barkley and them. You in the house and you doing this, you're not. And that same dude in the second half, he's telling his player to, do the elbow. He's like, no, do the elbow. Second half, when he got tired and got to smoking on him, he was giving his players dap. He's like, fuck this, giving his players dap. But you see, it was putting his head in the first half. Don't get caught giving high fives. You can see that was putting his head. So, psyops. Yeah, exactly. You'd be pissed off. So would I be pissed off. A mid-major might win this year. No, they ain't. I don't think they're going to let the Zags win. I still think Illinois got the best team. I still do. Hey, Edward, thank you for joining me. How are things going for you? I hope you've found some abundance and luck and good timing for you, brother. Love your vid showing how all these games are set up by the system. Well, thank you. Yeah, I would be going crazy, when I did that. Like I took a shot. We were winning by 1. And the coach said, don't take any shot but a layup. And I should have dunked the ball. But one of my partners came really quick and closed on me. So I pumped and I let it go. And when we fell, he fell on me. So it was an obvious foul. And of course, we was playing at their gym. And we ended up losing by 1 with the last second shot. And, I was like, just didn't want to talk to anybody. They sent my girlfriend at the time. I was standing against the wall, not talking to anybody. And she came up to me, is like, you shouldn't have took that shot. This is what my girlfriend told me. She's like, you shouldn't have took that shot. She was right. Fixes in Goldman and Sachs approved of giving millions. Yeah, I saw that with Super Slide. Buddy got paid off. Yeah, probably so. Yeah, I saw that. I just don't know, Edward, how really relevant that is. How real a thing would that be? How is that even legal? Like, how would you decide to just put money into women? And and someone not putting an alarm in it and seeing that these women groups. I mean, already we see the thing under Black Lives Matter where they wasn't giving money to the local people. The people here wasn't getting that money that they promised them to keep continuing stuff. They got something like $90 million. And yet you had their agencies around the country that couldn't even pay their rent when they were renting out office buildings. I think the one here fell into that kind of problem. They had an office at one time when all that stuff was going with Floyd. They had a headquarters, and then all that, because again, without Floyd, Black Lives Matter disappears. Without Floyd, Black Lives Matter would have disappeared. Because up to the point, the best thing Black Lives Matter did before Floyd was they did the protest at the Mall of America. They arrested some of them. They had said they were going to protest another day. And this was kind of brilliant. What they did is they fainted, like, you know, that kind of, not fainting, but a feint. They fainted like they did a feint like they were going to the Mall of America. They shut down the roads, the highways going to the airport, and they shut the airport down. That was brilliant. Whoever came up with that, that was a good plan. But after that, they was dead. Black Lives Matter was dead. Floyd brought them back alive. They wasn't there that first day. Black Lives Matter, you did not start seeing them signs to the third or fourth day. And what did you see after that? Every picture that's in the newspaper, you seeing their sign. But if they wasn't organic, they were not right here at first. They were not organically involved at first. Nothing for brothers. I just watched her, and I see earbuds. Thanks for putting me on the earbuds. Well, thank you, Spiroglyphs. Yeah, the earbuds. Didn't even know about that until I saw your vid. Well, thank you. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, dribbling the ball off his ankle and smiling in NCAA tournament. Right, exactly, Lorenzo. This was done to keep strong, critical thinking men from attacking feminism. Attacking feminism. Okay. Strong, critical thinkers, black men from attacking. Great point. They need Floyd to get a reaction out of the masses to push their agenda. Yeah. Floyd doesn't happen there. That's why if you looked at all of it being a script, again, Young supposedly got shot in the head while handcuffed. Protests cut off the street for 3 weeks on the 4th precinct. You had I want to say they had his thing at the Bastille. You had the dude that was a lunch worker. He was a lunch worker. I can't think of his name right now. He was shot in one of the suburbs. They gave his family 20-some million. That was the Facebook Live when Facebook Live first came. They shot that brother here. And she's like, he was trying to show his ID, his gun permit ID. That was to discourage brothers from getting gun permits because brothers was getting gun permits like never before. And that's why Castile was his name, Castile, when they did Castile. And even when they did Castile, and I know my videos are going from my other channel, but I was saying this is a test place. I saw that this was a test area, especially with the Castile killing. This was the test place. That's why Floyd happened here. They did them 2 other testing to see how the public would react. And as I was saying last night about Target always, I was telling my friend this, Target always takes deliveries. The days leading up, that Target that was on the south side, that Target hadn't taken deliveries in a couple of days. That never happens. That never happens. And I know someone that worked in that Target, and he thought that was odd. And I didn't even ask him about it. He just he was like, the weird thing is we had almost stopped taking inventory, where they bring inventory all the time. They get day deliveries and night deliveries. And he was like, we didn't get any deliveries for a couple of days. He said that, which is very, very odd. So somebody knew something. And then we know we have a sergeant from the St. Paul the Police Department. We caught him in his outfit where he broke the windows at the Action Auto. But again, out of all the places to loot, how would you even know what breaks to take? You know how long you'd have to be in the store? You would have been like the slowest looters in the world looting at Action Auto. Rotors ain't no easy thing to pick up and run. Rotors is like this and heavy. You got 2 or 4 rotors, and then how do you know that they're your rotors? So how do you loot Action Auto? You got to sit there and look at what wipers you want to take. Now, if you want to take air refreshers or car mats, yeah, that kind of shit. But them parts up in there, and then they burn that fucker down. Remember that they burn the Action Auto down. But it's like, how would you loot that place? Like, why was he breaking windows at that? How do you loot Action Auto? You gotta have the books to know where the parts are. And like, you get a tie rod or that front arm, you get in a box like this. You know, you get in a big old box that's heavy. So, and like I was telling my friend, like, who loots clothes at Target? Like I told my friend earlier today, it's like if I called him, it's like, you know what, man, I'm about to go loot at Target. You want a Target sweatsuit? Who would want that shit? And the first thing taken out of Target was toys. The first shit that was cleared out was toys. And as I've said many times about the finish line, one of the friends went in the finish line, all the men's shoes up in there, the 12s, 13, 14s and up, all the children and women's shoes is gone. So you know who was up in there. It wasn't dudes, it was women in there taking them shoes. So, people just need to turn off the TV. Good point. They need the Floyd to get a reaction to push. Yep. When school did you play ball for? You think Illinois will win it all? I went to North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, which was called a black college back then. They call them HBCUs now. I remember I dated a girl, and she was the first time I ever heard that. Gosh, that must have been first time I ever heard that HBCU was 08. I met her in 07, 08. She was a girl from Michigan that went to Eastern Michigan, and she came here, had a job at Target. She couldn't handle the pressure. She started fainting at Target. She had a pretty high-powered job and couldn't take the pressure. And so she ended up trying to work at Aldi's before she went back to Michigan. Last time the chick called me, she was selling that Russell Simmons' wife had the booty stretchers and the waistband thing. She was hustling that shit last time I knew. But she was the first person, oh, you went to HBCU. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? You don't want a black college? That's what they was called when I was in school. They didn't call it no HBCU. They called it a black college. But I guess being politically correct, I guess that's what it is. But I'm just saying this was a psyop in a lot of ways. Again, you can catch Floyd getting arrested by 7 or 8 the year before, and it almost like they was almost like they were setting that up because they arrested him with 6 or 7 people before. Why that? The other part is the park police end up supporting. Why? Why would the park police come in the city? The park police, their job is the park. Now, could they be support? Why were park police supporting them? Of all the police in Minneapolis, you had to pull park police? That's not Minneapolis police. We have a lot of parks here. So every year we're first or second in national parks. We're always the top bicycle city. Always the top bicycle city. So that's another question. Why were the park police there? Who would have called them over? It would have been the only way they really would have been called over is a critical situation, emergency. Stopping a cat that tried to do a funny $20 bill. Why would you need the park police to be backup? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. You wouldn't have them being your backup. So why were they there? So that seems like a psyop too. Fab Five or the Running Rebels? I think the Fab Five would have gave them trouble because Larry Johnson wasn't that tall. Do you think if more top recruits start following the G League trend, college basketball will become less popular? Nah, it'll always be young guys. The G League is what they're going to do is the guys who are good enough, they're going to start putting them in training and trying to divert them to the G League. The G League is paying better and better. Some of the top guys were getting 300,000-400,000 before it was like 50, 60. So some of the dudes are starting to get that bread, and that's what it's all about. So what happened is China closed down because China was where they were sending everybody. That's why Marbury got a red card, which is almost impossible for an American to get. I think he's the only American in the world that has full Chinese citizenship. So why would this cat who just hooped and only won two or three championships there, Why does he get exclusive to be, he has dual citizenship? So I think you're going to see that more and more. Riots tried to do what blacks did in the 68 with MLK got murdered April 11th is when Lyndon B granted civil rights to blacks, Indian civil rights. Yep. Kenny Galloway is a giant now. I'm so happy. Kenny Holiday. Okay. I don't know that name, Galladay. I don't know him. How do you feel about the NBA possibly expanding their teams? It's going to give more people a chance. More people are going to get a chance to hoop. That's a beautiful thing. Anytime it's going to give jobs for more coaches. It's going to expand the refs. I don't see why female refs are in the NBA. That makes no sense to me. Or the NFL. That doesn't make sense to me either. But because you're taking a man's job away. Now you can say I'm biased or against feminism, which I'm not. But I'm just saying there's no reason for there to be women officials. You are taken away from officials that's been officiated, and you've had these women jump over them. I don't care what anybody says. Those women have jumped over veteran officials that's doing college. And they've made, and because again, if you're chosen, you can get pushed right through. So it's good. It's good to have. And other teams will make more people. Is for the Lions. Oh, okay. He's the Lions receiver. Okay. Former Lions number. Oh, okay. I think I know you're talking about. Thank you, Awen. I am tired of people saying that running Rebels team would beat the Fab Five. Stacey Augman. Yeah. Larry Johnson. What was Larry Johnson going to do against Chris Webber? I'm talking about Chris Webber, sophomore, freshman Chris Webber. Chris Webber is 6'10", 6'11". Larry Johnson, what, 6'6"? Even if Larry Johnson's 6'8", he ain't Chris Webber nasty. No way. And then Howard 6'10", 6'11". How was they going to deal with them? Like you said, Stacey Augman, who he matching up with? Skinny 6'8". Chris Webber and Howard was going to just kill them. And as much as I didn't really dig Jimmy Jackson and King because they weren't that good, that's why they stayed all 4 years. They weren't that good. Michael Talley was a much better player, and so was Sam Mitchell. But that's another story. But yeah, they would. And then who's going to guard Jalen? You going to put Ogman on the point guard when he was used to guarding a 4? It's going to be. It just they was going to have matchup troubles. And the Fab Five were the one thing about King and Jackson is they were very athletic and explosive guys. And so you could put King at a small forward, but because you had a Howard or Chris Webber playing, they would switch back and forth between 3 or 4 and 5. So you could afford to bring, King going 2 or 3 because Jalen was playing 1. So King, a lot of times King would play the small forward, and then you put Jackson at the 2. So it would have been a hard matchup for the running Rebels. Very hard matchup. Women got serving jobs. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be excluded, but I'm saying to the point where they're jumping over men. And I know that's happened for a fact because you've had men trying to break into these leagues for years and can't get the look. And then, I had a friend call me. It's like, I'm going into camp and we are all applying for these jobs. I've been to this NBA camp every summer, been doing college games. And then I look at who they hired. And there's one of the women there that doesn't have near the experience as me. How did she get into the leagues? My phone just told me it's time to go to fuck to bed. It's like, you need to go to bed, homie. Do you think the season will be longer? They shortened the season this year. They bitching. I mean, this is what I don't understand. You only play 80 games. And so what? You got back-to-backs and you're just hooping. You only play 80 games and you just hooping. So I don't get, that sounds like a great life to me. Now all of them got private planes. So traveling ain't as hard anymore. You get to sleep. A private plane is still like, what, a 727. So you sitting on a seat to yourself, comfortable as it can be. You can eat on the plane. So what's the problem? You hooping. I mean, there was times where I hooped every day. I would have a game in the evening, and depending on my work schedule, I would hoop that afternoon. I would play pickup all afternoon and then go play a game that night. I would play, if I had a league game, I would play a league game, and then I would ref 3 or 4 games. I would do that multiple nights. So I don't understand how they complaining about 85 games. Don't understand that. I would hoop in so many leagues. I mean, it just didn't make sense. I bet in some years I played over 100 games. Yeah, I bet in some years I played 100 games in a year and refed and worked. Because my first thing is if you know my wife at the time didn't have anything, you know, they know I'm going to work or I'm going to play. That was just a given with me. Every night. I played probably 7 days a week. I did that probably for 20 years. Played every day. Greg Anthony was 6'1". It's funny, Greg Anthony, he lost his job on one of the shows because Greg Anthony got caught with a police instead of a hooker. Do you know how easy it is to get you a call girl or get you a hooker and you pick the police of all the girls? Like, remember the NFL player didn't get to play in the Super Bowl because he out of all the women in the world, he got a police in places where it's easy to tell if it's not a police or not. NBA players complaining about, yeah, exactly. Kyle Ripken played in over 2,000 consecutive games in a row. Nowadays, NBA players can't. Thank you. They can't. Did you have a conversation with the Black Jaguar clan on my behalf? I did. Oh, no, sorry. I know what you're talking about now. No, I haven't had a chance. He hasn't returned my call. I sent him some messages about a week ago, and I haven't heard anything from him. Yeah, Eugene Robertson, James. So I'm sorry, Edward. I'll send him another text, see what he says. But yep, Eugene Robertson. I mean, you got to be some kind of stupid. Like going to the NBA All-Star. All the hoes go down there. And you telling me you can't pick a hoe that's not a cop. Do you see that? Like all the hoes at the NBA All-Star game, you just have the worst luck. You get a hoe that's a cop. I mean, come on. You got to be some kind of stupid. He was a preacher. Thoughts on Watson? You think there any truth to it or just humiliation? It's definitely a humiliation ritual. Like he said, one girl coerced him into giving him head. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard of. It's like she give me a massage, and how do you coerce somebody in giving you head? Now, if you say I'll give you extra money for giving me head, is that coercing? That sounds like a contract. I'm paying you to give me a massage, and I'll give you an extra $100 if you give me head. Is that coercing? That sounds like a contract. It's like that dude that just shot all them people up. They knew him. There are people calling and say, it looks like this motherfucker. Because he was in there buying pussy in there. The dude who shot up the places in Atlanta. And then, you know what? This is the dirty shit. You know, two European people got killed in that. All you heard that Asians got killed. 2 Europeans got killed. You ain't really heard a lot about that. Attack on Asians. Because they tried to do Asians against brothers. That's what they was trying to do. But we bust that shit out. You ain't gonna pull that shit and everybody be silent. We ain't never fuck with them people. Matter of fact, they've taken advantage of our neighborhoods. They've allowed it. Because at first in the black neighborhoods, it was the Jewish faith people. The 60s burned them out of the neighborhoods. That's what a lot of the 60s was burning them out. The 60s, they got burned out of the neighborhoods. What did we start seeing in the 80s? They was bringing in the Koreans. Remember in LA, the Korean killed a little girl prior to the LA riots? They was giving the Koreans our business. They could get loans where you couldn't get a loan. They was giving it to them. And then they brought the Arabs in, was giving the Arabs loans that you couldn't get. How do the 7-Elevens go all from, and I know 7-Elevens is closed most places, but how do they go from owned by Koreans and all of a sudden the next week you seeing Arabs in there? They gave Arabs their own town in Dearborn. Dearborn used to be a kind of middle-class working neighborhood where Greenfield Village is and the Ford testing ground. They gave the Arabs that. That's why they have a representative out of that area that is Arab. There's no hate on those people, but I'm just saying. And then you bring in, again, Koreans that have a monopoly on hair care. They go after every monopoly in America, but they don't go after them for being a monopoly. Because one of my friends, and even though we didn't kick it, but she told me some interesting information. You know how they try to say that hair come from Brazil, and even 60 Minutes had some bullshit that said that Indian women in India was cutting their hair, donating it to the church, and that's in the hair care business. That's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. All hair comes from China, all of it. There's a sister, and I don't remember her name, but there's a sister that went all these countries, she tracked down where the hair came from. And just like they can make mink coats that look just like minks, they do the same. The same companies that make that kind of shit make the hair too. They're able to make that shit look just like it. You can get a mink coat that you ain't got to freeze during the summer. You can just keep it in your damn closet. I got a fabulous fur. One of my mink coats is a fabulous fur, and you ain't got to put it in the freezer. It ain't going to fall apart. Now, you buy a damn real mink coat, and you don't put it in the freezer in the summer and see what you got when you take that motherfucker out. Them furs will fall off damn near. You have a coat that you done spent thousands, and it's best to, you buy the coat, it's best to, the place you buy a mink, rent a space for them so they can keep your coat in the winter. Unless you balling, you can build that in your house. But there's places that it's just you buy it from them, let them keep it in the winter, in the summer, excuse me. Let them keep it in the summer. But see, they have a monopoly on it. And we, the companies, America gives everybody loans but us, the melanated people. That's just a fact. So the timing of Watson allegation is suspect, is real suspect, because the first allegation didn't come until after he signed the contract. He signed a big contract, then boom, this shit is on him. Jerry Lynn was rocking fake dreadlocks a few years back. Exactly. He's lucky to be back in the G League. They brought him back in the G League. It's a gas station on the south side of my town where Vietnamese owned it first. Now it's Arabs. Exactly. I mean, Detroit had something like 300 gas stations. Only one melanated person owned it in Detroit. The rest was owned all by Arabs. That ain't an accident. That's targeted. That is a target there. And that's what we are faced with most places. What do they say? Buy and get out. The Craig Facts people was like, buy and get out. Remember when Old Dog killed them? I feel sorry for your mama. What you say about my mama? Remember that? What did you say about my mama? I feel sorry about your mama. I don't want no trouble. Boom, boom in your ass. And then had a tape and rewatching this shit. Let's watch this shit again. Psychopath, surely psychopath, but I'm just saying that's frustration in the people. When you see those scenes, that's frustration in the people. Actually, Old Dog was doing the revenge on that little girl getting killed because her 20th anniversary is coming up where they murdered her. Little girl, shot her in the back. Y'all remember that? Korean lady shot her in the back. So that's what Old Dog was revenging, and I know it was on. I know it was on a movie, but it was a little bit of kind of revenge. So there's no accidents, guys. Victor Dupo ain't the same. Nah, his injuries have taken its toll on him. Ryan, his injuries have taken the toll. Hurry up and buy. There you go. Hurry up and buy. Yep. Yeah, Aladipo, his injuries. I mean, that when you have that calf injury he had, Yeah, he'll always be hurt because that's a hard muscle to try to come back from. And there's just cats that get injury prone. Like the guy who wrote me, the guy who wrote me was saying, one problem of sports is that you're on your legs all the time. You're on your legs all the time. He was talking about practice and all that, and that's, that is hard to heal when you got to be like that. You got to be on your legs all the time. It's very hard to heal. Let me see if I can do this. If I can find this. Let me see. It's got to be in this. Has to be on this page. Oh, right here. Terrence Newby, email me because I have something for you. So email me. So if you can email me at eaglerthebomb@gmail.com. Email me. If you're watching or you ever watch this, Terrence Newby, email me at eaglersarethebomb@gmail.com. So email me. That's 30 years ago. Tupac mentioned that incident. He's Thug Mansion song. Right. Oh, it's 30 years. Okay. Yeah, it's 30 years ago. So that was part of the reason for the riots, just as much as it was for Rodney King. It was that as much. So don't forget about that. Where am I time? Okay. So what time is it? 2:30? Okay. I don't know what time my daughter's coming in the morning. My son playing video games. I'm hearing him yelling shit, and I'm like trying to sleep. But so it's gonna be, I think, 60 here tomorrow. It's gonna be nice. I don't know if you guys, the microphone is probably killing the wind, but it's howling. I mean, the wind is really howling tonight. Let me see what the weather is gonna be like tomorrow. 61. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. 61. So yeah, but still windy. Because I wonder what the wind is right now. That wind is significant. It's not giving me the percentage of wind. Let me see. But I bet we got 40-mile-an-hour winds. Let's see. I don't even know how to work this damn iPhone mostly. It's easier. The Galaxy phones are easier to operate. But the quality of the phones, I mean, you can't even compare them. These Galaxies, it ain't shit to them. These are better phones, better quality phones. I'll say that. Oh, here we go. What is the wind? Air quality. This says 2-mile-an-hour winds. It can't be like that, but it says 2 mile an hour. I ain't never seen 2-mile-an-hour wind howl. It is howling. So I don't know. Maybe they lazy. Now here's got. Oh, this is a different place. No, that's the same. Yeah. Okay, here we go. South winds 14 mile an hour. It's 37 degrees, 45 degrees, but the wind makes it feel like it's 37. And then I wanted to say this, guys. So right now, the sun is coming up at 7 a.m. and it's not going down until 7 p.m. So we got 12 hours of sun that is going to expand to, excuse me, that is going to expand to 14, 15 hours. So I'll make an alert for people because that's a perfect time to sun gaze is you get. So if you go out there like 7:14 to 7:30, you're going to really be able to sun gaze as it's coming up between 7:15, 7:30. And then again, when it's summertime, it gets the sun goes down at 9:30, go to 10. That's another time. So if you really want to work on, erasing some of this calcification from you, we are coming in the long days. The long days are coming. And so just as we celebrated the long nights, it's good to get up and celebrate the long days. Well, guys, I think I'm going to cut it because my allergies, and even though I did take medicine, my allergies are starting to, you can fix iPhone screens for cheap. Oh, like this one is cracked. This one is cracked. $300. $300 to fix this. And this is only a Note 9. $300 to fix this shit. $300 for what we are not Note 21 or some shit now. And this is a Note 9. You know, they skipped like 14, you know, it went from Note 12 all the way to Note 20. So this is only 3 phones back. That's why I didn't get a Note 10. Because like Note 10s came out the Fury fight. And one of my partners from Detroit was at the Fury fight. And I was looking at his phone, looking at my phone, like these phones ain't any difference. And I got to fucking with his focus. And these have fucked up focus. And my partner just bought him a Note 21, but he had a Note 20, or he had the iPhone or the Galaxy 20. Same focusing issues. These suck focusing. They really suck. Like, especially if you try to do a live with these, you see the shit doing in and out like the 7s was doing. I mean, it's just the same shit that they ain't figured out. So, and it's funny, I bought this case. I got this freaking case today. Dude tax me, but you know, I do business for him. He runs 3 or 4 kiosks. He runs the phone kiosk, he runs the perfume kiosk, he runs the fake gold kiosk. Dude hustles. And I'm like, man, because he tried to hit me with 50. I'm like, man, I can order this shit for $10. I can get the screen protector for 10, and I can get this boot thing for 10. But he's like, you know, it's tough on everybody. And you be out here every day, because I bought some cologne from him. He's like, you buy from us. And so he gave me the shit for $30. So I'm like, okay, it's better than 50. And I can get it now instead of having to wait. But I am going to get an Ali Frazier back. I found a place that I can get an Ali Frazier one for this phone. So I look forward to getting that. So, well, guys, my allergies are starting to get me. And so I'm going to have to cut it a little short. So thank you, everyone. Again, I always end with Eshan's poem, which goes like this. I'm not a New York rapper or an LA gang banger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. Make more money. My pockets like sunshine. They always sunny. I know I will never step into the pearly gates of heaven. That's why I carry a couple 357s. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. A Wind is timeless. Till we meet again. Thank you.